What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Daily Betslip. I'm here with my guy Reed Wallach for the second straight day. We got a packed show for you. We got some bad beat, got some best bets. Reed's hitting tennis bets like crazy out here, so we'll have him talk those for sure. I got to play in the WNBA. We're back with some free agency stuff. It's a loaded show. Reed, how you doing, my man?
Good. It's been a busy 24 hours for me. Obviously, it's late June when you're betting tennis and like giving them out, plus 250 Maxime Chris. He gets it in right before the show comes on live. So that was a nice afternoon start. And then obviously, Kyrie, run it back one more time. We'll see. We'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, all is well. I know we're getting into a bad beat, but I mean, were we wrong on those Red Sox last night?
Yeah,
were we just dead wrong? Seabold, I mean, not even close.
I told myself, I was like, I'm not going to read too much into the pitching matchup. Should have read a little bit more into the pitching matchup because Seabold was not good. That was our game of the night last night. Tonight, we got your Mets taking on the Astros in game of the night. We'll have that later for you guys in the show. And I think you're going to the game tonight, right?
I will be going, and I totally forgot that I said I'd put on a jersey, but I just completely forgot. So I will be at Citi Field tonight for a big game. Astros, Mets. I mean, it's game of the night. So sorry about no jersey. I had my tennis shirt on. I had my Coco golf shirt on earlier, rooting her on. So no Mets jersey for me, but I will be at the game. Well, we got some bets on that one later, but I will be in the building for that one.
One of the very few times I think that I actually root for the Mets against the team. I'm not like I don't like hate the Mets as a Yankees fan, but I will definitely root against the Astros no matter.
That is, I think that's like a low key, really big, like hot topic, especially with both teams being good. And maybe we'll do it another time. But like, I have some friends that hate the Yankees, root for their failure more than anything. I personally don't really care. I mean, my friends are pretty split. Like they don't really bother me so much. And they're also, you guys are in another league, so it just doesn't have a lot of impact on me. Like, I hate the Knicks a lot more. Same thing like Giants and Jets. Like Knicks and Nets, I get it. Giants and Jets, different conferences. So like, it doesn't matter to me. Like when the whole season goes along and you're not playing them, I just don't really see much to hate about. Like, go about it. And like, hey, if we see each other in a Subway Series, then we could crank it up a notch. But yeah, I think it's like a hot debate.
It's a tough one because like I have friends who are huge Mets fans, and like I hate when they're like talking a lot to me, but at the same time, I don't like hate the Mets. Like,
I know.
I don't want to get chirped, but at the same time, like it's kind of cool the Mets are playing well because I would love a Subway Series. I think that would be unbelievable, and both of us being in the New York area, like that would be sick if we got a Subway Series. So, yeah, that's an interesting one, for sure. We got our boy Beers and Bow Ties in the chat, and he has a pick for us today, so we'll talk some of that, and he wants to read. He needs some Kyrie action too.
Yeah. Oh, there will be Kyrie action. Don't worry. After the last 24 hours, I've been, up and down roller coaster style stuff. So we'll get into it in a little bit.
First, let's jump into our bad beat of the night, Reed. This one was in our game of the night last night, Blue Jays, Red Sox. The total was at 9.5, and the Jays, they torched Connor Seabold. They're up 7-0 after 5. So if you had the over, looked like you were in a good spot there. And then nobody scores till the 9th inning. The Sox get 2, and they strand a runner on third base. So
yeah,
absolutely brutal if you had the over in that game, especially 5th inning, 7-0. It seemed like you were home free at that point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always feel like when you don't get the over early, it's just like sitting there like, oh, is this really going to die? Like, especially when a team goes up 7-0 and you're just like, oh, is this just going to die? Like, is the game, like, are they just going to like run through the rest of this game, just get to tomorrow? Like the bats are going to die. No one really cares anymore. Yeah, that's a tough one, especially running on third. You think like you can maybe like stumble into one, like, oh, like maybe I'll like squeak one out, and then like, nope. And yeah, Red Sox, they were dead from Jump Street. I think they went down 1-0 early, then they went down like 5-0, and it just like was over. So yeah, that is a brutal one in baseball. I mean, we talk about all the time, like baseball beats are just brutal. They're so tough.
Yeah, it's so tough. And two, because like we were talking about on the show yesterday, like, Toronto's dead last in ERA over the last 15 days, and Boston's first in OPS. And it was like, nope, they just could not hit. Yeah. Like it figures that's the way the game goes.
Yeah, the Red Sox took a night off there. That surging offense decided to just absolutely deflate last night.
Yeah, not what you want at all. We got one Twitter pick, and then we have our best bet. So let's jump into the Twitter pick first. I believe it is from Beers and Bow Ties. He's already tuned in. So We got Braves at Phillies, a 2-player parlay, Austin Riley and Michael Harris third over half a base for both of them, plus 133. Both these guys have live bats, he says. He also thinks Wheeler has an off night for the Phillies. So, Reed, you got any thoughts on that one? I don't know how I feel about fading Zach Wheeler, but
yeah, step in front of a Zach Wheeler train isn't too enticing. At plus 133, I don't mind it. You just need one base knock. Michael Harris is legit though, the rookie for the Braves, and then obviously Austin Riley guy could hit a homer like at any at bat. He's a threat. So definitely a gutsy one, but plus 133, all you need is a hit.
Yeah,
I'll ride it. I haven't dove into like the hitter prop for yet. It's only June. I can't get that. Like the dog days haven't started for me just yet. Like in a few weeks, I think like maybe I'll start looking at some hitter props. But like for now, I'm like sitting on like strikeout props. That's kind of where I'm at because I feel like I could focus on that a little bit better.
I feel like pitcher props are just easier because you have it doesn't like you have a smaller sample size to go to. Like hitter props, just like they're playing every day. Like yesterday, I almost took Anthony Rizzo in our daily dinger yesterday. And then I told myself, you watch too much Yankees, you're going to just pick a Yankee. Don't do it. They're facing a good pitcher. And what does he do his first at bat? He hits a home run. Yep. I took Juan Soto. And I'm like, I'm overthinking this, but it's so hit or miss with hitters because you can have a guy go 4 for 4 one day and 0 for 4 the next.
We were talking about it yesterday, but Yankees obviously go down. What was it, like 5-2? They obviously come back and just absolutely blow it wide open. Just classic. Just classic Yankees.
Killed my under, but I'll take the win. Killed my
under. Yeah. I mean, you'll take one, if not both.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into our best bets now. Reed, I know you got 2 plays in baseball and then 1 in tennis. I have 2 in baseball and 1 in the WNBA. So talk to me your baseball plays to start.
Yeah, so first up, Pirates. Plus 105 against the Nationals. And I mean, it's Fade Patrick Corbin Day. It's one of the best days of the week. The Nationals, I mean, obviously it's a rebuilding team, but they're particularly bad when Corbin's on the mound. Even when he pitches well, the Nats are not winning. They're 3-12 when he pitches this season. So that's a disaster. He leads the major leagues in earned runs and hits allowed. His whip is disgusting. It's pushing 2. Expected ERA of 6.6. I mean, this is just a disastrous season for Corbin. Completely lost that curveball, that nasty one. So Pirates, O'Neal Cruz coming up last week. He's been dynamite. His first home run in the big leagues last night. Sorry. I just think the Pirates are a better team right now. I don't really see how you can make Patrick Corbin a favorite over anybody in baseball. So strictly a fade on Corbin. So give me the Pirates at plus money. And then my other one, I know you have a pick that I agree with, but similar vein, I'm going Zach Gallen under 5.5 strikeouts. So we had 11 strikeouts his last time out. He was like a fringy dark horse Cy Young candidate, but he's kind of come back to earth. And in 5 of his last 6 starts, he's gone under this number. So I think that like 11 is more of an outlier than what's actually happening. And when he went over, it was only at 6. So it's not like he's crushing this number. The Padres don't strike out. Best offense and weighted runs created plus in the last 2 weeks. They have the 5th fewest strikeouts. So I think we're going to see maybe Gallen get tagged, get pulled early. I also just don't see a lot of strikeouts here. So give me Zach Gallen under 5.5 strikeouts.
Reed, I love both these plays. This is a unique day.
That was a good one.
Here.
Like that one?
We got a unique day here because we are on the same page with like every pick, it feels like.
Probably a disaster.
I love to see. Yeah, that's the other thing. It scares me a little bit, but for the purposes of the show, I'm like, oh, nice. We don't have to debate any of these ones. We're just riding the same. So I have 2 very similar plays in those 2 games, actually. So the first one I'm going with is Patrick Corbin over 5.5 hits allowed. It's minus 105. And I did a video on this posted on Twitter if you want to check that one out as well. But Corbin's been, like you said, downright awful. He's allowed 6 or more hits in 11 of his 15 starts this year. He has a 6.6 ERA, a 1.79 whip. And since May has started, he's had 1 start that he allowed less than 6 hits. The guy is getting absolutely shelled, and the Nationals, for some reason, don't mind just letting him eat innings. I think they're just kind of like, it's whatever. So he's not going to get pulled even if he gets rocked early in this game. And one of the things I think that might actually benefit this prop is that the Pirates don't have the greatest offense, so they may get hits, but I don't know that they're going to turn everything into runs. So you could see Corbin go, 6 innings, 3 runs, but he gives up 8 or 9 hits and he just scatters them throughout. Like you said, his whip is almost 2 on the season. So I love this prop. Patrick Corbin over 5.5 hits allowed. And then to the Diamondbacks Padres game, I'm taking the Padres as a pick 'em against the D-backs. I apologize to our producer, Joanne Stoner. I'm sorry, Joanne. I have to go against the Diamondbacks. It just has to happen tonight. The big reason why, actually, though, is not Zach Gallen, although I do like the under on his strikeout prop. He has come back to earth a little bit, but it's more so this Padres offense versus the Diamondbacks offense. You look at the way these two teams have played over the last 15 days. San Diego's second in baseball in OPS, first in runs scored over the last 15 days. The Diamondbacks, 29th in OPS, 23rd in runs scored. They're not hitting the ball, and their bullpen is very, very bad. They have a 4.33 ERA. It's in the bottom 10 in baseball this season. So the thing for me in this matchup is like Sean Manaea, Zach Gallen, like you might go like 6 innings. They actually faced each other back on the 21st, and they both went 6 innings, 2 runs. So you might see that. But if I have to bet on a bullpen and on an offense, I'm taking the Padres every time. So I like them as a pick 'em here against it. The D-backs, they're like a fine 4th place team at this point.
Yeah. No, I'm with you here. I bet the Padres also, but for content purposes, I went with the Zach Allen strikeout. But I am on the Padres money line also. I like the Pods tonight. I think that this Machado injury hasn't really shaken them as much. Like I said, tops in the bigs and weighted runs created plus over the past 2 weeks. So this is just a good team playing a bad team, and Manaea is more than capable of shoving against this Diamondbacks team. So yeah, I like San Diego on the money line as well.
They're going to be scary when Tatis and Machado are back in the lineup, because the fact that they're playing this well, like last year, it seemed like when Tatis got hurt, they kind of struggled a little bit to stay afloat. They ended up finishing, I think, just above or just below 500. Like they ended up finishing. Yeah, they ended up finishing pretty bad last year. So when they get those two guys back, they're in the mix in the NL West. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took that division. Reed, you've been hot in tennis. Give me the tennis play for tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going like proven versus unproven here. That's like the theme of this, kind of like the opposite of what I took today. But Adrian Manarino, plus 125 versus Tommy Paul. Manarino, I know he went 5 sets in the first round, but that's kind of it. He's like a grinder. He's not he's capable of doing that, winning 5-setters. Overall, all time, 56 and 41 on the surface. Tommy Paul, 4 and 5 on tour on grass. That is just an overwhelming discrepancy there. A really good, if you're betting, a really good way to look at kind of how these players are rated is look at their ELO rating. You can find that on tennisabstract.com. If you're looking at strictly grass, Adrian Manarino is 20th in his ELO rating. Tommy Paul is 58th. So it seems like Tommy Paul is beating up on competition. He has wins over like Yannick Sinner, Stan Wawrinka, and I don't have I lost track of my notes, but somebody else really good. I'm drawing a blank here. And Dennis Shapovalov. On this grass swing, but I'm not buying it as much. I am looking at more of the consistent product and Manarino. Paul is more of a clay court player anyway. So I'll take Adrian Manarino as an underdog. He has had success at Wimbledon. So plus money, that's where I'm looking. That's my best bet for Wimbledon tomorrow.
I like it. I got to ride with your best tennis bets after yesterday.
Yeah, Cressy, my boy, just absolutely serving volleyed his way to knocking off Felix Alcine. So that was dope.
That was crazy. Also, real quick, while we're on some tennis, we had a hot take today in the BetSided chat from Brian about Rafa Nadal being a one-dimensional player, and you and I both disagreed. I'll give you a second to make your case on why. Come on, you can't hate on Rafa Nadal, right?
What do you mean? He has the most Grand Slam championships of all time. Who cares what surfaces they go on? Still going out there and winning. Being so dominant on a surface should almost factor into how dominant he is. Like, I understand if you're talking like pure all-around talent and stuff, but like, guy has the most wins of all time. And like the conversation started with Rafa Nadal sucks, which like that is just like so wrong. He's like fantastic. And he's also, it's not like he hasn't been able to win on other surfaces. He won the US Open in 2019. He won it. He hasn't played at Wimbledon in several years, but he won the Aussie this past January. So, I mean, even at his older age, he's been able to dominate. Honestly, with Berrettini going out due to COVID, I expect Nadal to actually roll to the finals now. It will be probably a Djokovic-Nadal final. I expect Novak to get the better of him there. But, I mean, what are we talking about? Rafa Nadal's not overrated. What a ridiculous statement.
Yeah, that's a little crazy for me. I'll give my best bet in the WNBA, the last one. I got Dream Mystics. I'm taking the under -1 or 153.5, -110. I'm tailing our guy Donovan in this one. And he kind of pointed this one out to me. We got 2 of the best defenses in the WNBA going. Right now, they rank number 1 and number 4 in defensive rating. The Dream have been the best defense all season long. just really dominating on that end of the floor, which is really impressive because obviously their number one pick, Ryan Howard's an unbelievable offensive player, but they've really bought in on the defensive side of the ball as well. And the big thing I think in this one is that the Mystics play at the slowest pace in the WNBA. So when you're a defensive team and you're facing a team that plays slow, it's kind of fine with you. Like that's what you kind of want to do. You want to make them slow it down, make their possessions tough. So I don't think we see a lot of possessions in this game. 153.5 is a bit of a low number, but after taking an over yesterday and it not hitting, I'm going to take an under today. I think we see a low scoring game between two of the better defensive teams in basketball. So any thoughts on that one, Reed? No aces for you today, though.
No finally, no aces. No, I like the under. I'm with you here. Great handicap. I'm all for it.
All right, so we can recap these best bets. Why not? Let's get the sweet recap graphic up. All right, so Reed is taking the Pirates plus 105 on the money line against the Nationals. He's also taking under 5.5 strikeouts for Zach Gallen, and Adrian Manarino, hopefully I said that right, plus 125 against Tommy Paul tomorrow in Wimbledon. As for myself, I'm taking over 5.5 hits allowed by Patrick Corbin. It's Fade Patrick Corbin day. We're taking the Padres on the money line on the road against the D-backs minus 110 and the under in Dream Mystics 153.5. So I feel confident about that card right there, Reed. I like what we got going.
We agreed too much. It totally won't come back to bite us like we did with the Red Sox last night.
Yeah, maybe we got the bad juju off of us last night in that Red Sox game. That's what I'm hoping. All right, let's warm it up. It's time for the best part of the show right here. We're talking NBA free agency right now, and I got to start with you because obviously yesterday on the show, got to give you your credit here, give you your flowers. You said you weren't going to panic. You thought Kyrie Irving was bluffing. You said Shams may be sitting on a bit of a bomb, and we get off the show, and no more than an hour later, Shams was sitting on a bomb. Kyrie Irving opting back in and plans to stay with the Nets. How you feeling?
The one word I'll use, and it's the word I've been saying all day, I feel relieved. I won't say I feel excited. I won't get too high because I was trying not to get too low last week, but I am a little relieved that it's not the ideal outcome because we get into like the report that Shams had today about the contract offers and everything. I obviously would like Kyrie Irving to stay on the team. I know nobody else like in the league wants him. I'm very happy with him, because that keeps Kevin Durant happy. But an opt-in's fine with me because and it's still possible that this thing has kind of unwoven and there's like collateral damage that could play into next season, or it's treated as a business. Kyrie now has every incentive to go out, try and put his antics beside him. I'm not counting on it. I imagine there will be more, but it's in his best interest now to go out and ball out, and it's in his best interest to go out and carry this Nets team to success. So yeah, he's on a 1-year deal. He's on a prove-it deal, like Aaron Judge is for the Yankees. It's a prove-it deal. You have it is in your best interest. And if you want to leave, guess what? If you do something else, if you refuse to get a vaccine that costs you games, if you want to do this, you want to take nights off, whatever, that's just going to come out next year when you're an unrestricted free agent. Nobody wants you, and you're going to have to take a discount. So, and guess what? If you do ball out, I imagine the Nets are going to be more than willing to give you a long-term extension at the money you think you require. So, it seemed like the Nets gave him real offers that I mentioned I thought would be pretty fair, like a 4-year, but like 2 guaranteed, 2 partially guaranteed. I thought that was fair. He declined it, and now he's betting on himself because no one wants to deal with him. So, listen, maybe he gets his act together, and maybe the Nets win a lot, and hopefully he stays for a while. But for now, I'm just relieved, and we're not out of the woods just yet. The Nets need to make some moves. The Nets need to find out if Ben Simmons can still play basketball. Nets still need to figure out if Kyrie's going to put all his stuff beside him. But for now, relieved. That is my long-winded answer saying Nets are back in the mix. We'll see what happens over the next week, and Kyrie Irving's under contract. I don't really buy the people saying that like Kyrie might get traded to the Lakers still. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I don't think that was really then the Nets would have just done that already. This feels like Kyrie said, you know what, I'm in. Let's do it one more. Even if it was a surprise to the Nets too. It seems like he's in again, and we'll see how it goes. If things go south, then, eventually we see Kyrie really just isn't capable of it, and the Nets let him walk and they want to go down that avenue. Maybe I'll understand a little bit more, based on this year. But honestly, I said yesterday, I saw where the Nets were coming from in their negotiation, and they won. They were right in what they did. And hopefully they don't lose the locker room because of it. But you got to tip your cap to Sean Marks because they took a hard stance. I won't give Joe Tsai credit yet, but we'll see what he does in the offseason, how much he spends. I have no sympathy for owners that don't spend. I don't feel bad.
Yeah, no.
I don't have any sympathy. So Sean Marks, I'll give some sympathy.
The thing I think is interesting about this is like him opting in. Like at the end of the day, if he really I know Sham said he had a few offers. I think that's all smoke. I think it's because they kind of gave him the scoop. So they were like, oh yeah, we had other opportunity. Woj said it was only the Lakers, and even the Lakers, it was the MLE or bust basically with the Lakers. The Nets don't want Russell Westbrook, and the Lakers aren't going to trade Anthony Davis. And there's no other way for the Lakers to acquire Kyrie Irving than trading one of those two players. So at this point, I kind of think for the Nets, it comes down to if he plays this whole season, because obviously last year was just an absolute you got 29 games out of him in the regular season. If he's going to play this entire season and you have a healthy Ben Simmons, fingers crossed, you have Kevin Durant, on paper they should be easily a top 3, if not top 2 team in the East. They're the only teams I would potentially put above them are the Bucks and maybe the Celtics, but I'm not 1,000% sold on, the Celtics. It's hard to have 2 really good seasons in a row and go back to the finals in any sport. We've seen it. So if he stays healthy and they can play together for an entire season, I'm very intrigued to see how it works. And we both said yesterday, the Nets made their bed. This was kind of all they could do. And we have a comment from Beers and Bowties weighing in, says he was hoping – I believe it's for a Durant Westbrook reunion. Yes, Durant Westbrook reunion.
I wasn't. I like the Kyrie fulfilling his contract story better. That's a little bit more compelling. What did he say? He's going to be different. He's going to opt into his $37 million player option.
He took the road less traveled. Nobody ever opts in, Reed. They never do.
Yeah. Listen, again, this is also, there is a world, and I'm not saying that this is my bias Nets probably coming in, but people hate the front office all the time. This is not uncommon that players don't mess around. They don't like the GM. They don't like the owner, whatever. Ultimately though, as long as the team is together, then that's what matters to me. Again, it's a lame, I'm not comparing the two teams. I'm just giving an example, but the Bulls all hated Jerry Krause, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not saying that the Nets are the Bulls. And
I saw your Last Dance tweet yesterday. You're not getting off without that. Yeah, I saw that. Oh no,
but I'm happy. Overall, I'm happy that he's back for now, and we'll see what happens. Run this out one more year. Let's see what happens. Because again, if he balls out, the Nets are probably going to win a lot of games, and they're going to go far in the playoffs. And then we're okay, you got to pay him, right? He proved it. He did what he had to do. So it kind of works both ways for both. I wouldn't say it's the perfect middle ground, but I think it kind of works.
To stick back to the Westbrook Durant thing, if the Westbrook Durant departure didn't go down the way it did, I would have if one of them had gotten traded for a different if something had happened similar to how Harden got traded from that OKC team, if something like that had happened, they didn't want to actually break up. I'd be down for a reunion. I don't think either one of them wants to play with each other. So if it ended up coming down to that's the only thing that was going to happen and Russ got traded there, one, either Russ is getting bought out, or two, they're going to both be miserable. And that is just, to me, not good for basketball. The KD Russ years were really fun, but the way they ended, I just don't ever think we will ever see those guys on the same team or really excited to play even in an all-star game together again. So that's the unfortunate thing. We got another big topic though to talk. We got some Dejounte Murray trades. And I'm interested for your take on this because I am shocked the Spurs actually want to move him after he made an all-star team last year, one of the best defensive guards in the NBA. He averaged 20, I think it was 21, 8 and 8. He's a triple-double threat every night, does it all. And the thing for me is I know Victor Wembanyama, who's one of the best prospects we've seen in years, is coming out of France next year. He's going to be probably the first pick of the 2023 NBA draft. But this feels like a Spurs are ready to tank kind of move. The apparent offer was Danilo Gallinari and around 3 first-round picks from the Atlanta Hawks. I feel like that's an easy price to pay for the Hawks, no?
Yeah. So anyway, really quick, Murray averaged 21, 8 boards, 9 assists, led the league in steals, 46, 32, 79 shooting splits. But yeah, no, I think I see where it comes from both sides that Hawks are really hungry to make that leap after last year's or 2 years ago now, like kind of run to the Eastern Conference Finals, which again, I wouldn't say it is kind of fluky. They kind of ran to some good fortune, ran to a Sixers team that melted down, but wouldn't say it's like that was like sustainable. So they're hungry for another guy next to Trae Young. And if you're looking for the Spurs, you make some good points. Like the Spurs finally feel like they are prepared to go through a quick rebuild. I wouldn't say it's like a full teardown because they have some nice young players already, but they don't look at Murray as a foundational star. Like, I don't think Murray is like a 1A. It's probably like maybe the third best player on a title team, probably closer to a fourth, if I had to guess.
I'd say he could be depending upon who he was with, maybe a second and definitely a third. I think
Yeah,
he's a really good player. Like
he's really good. But like, I also see the Spurs side saying, your contract's going to be up. It's not going to align with our timeline anyway. He's on a really good deal right now. And if you're the Hawks, I think the Hawks are going to be forfeiting a lot of assets to get him, but I do love the fit of him next to Trae Young. I think that's an awesome fit. But also at the same time, you are going to be taking the ball out of Murray's hands a little bit more. So he's only a 32% three-point shooter. How is he going to do as more of a spot-up threat because Trae Young handles the ball so much? But from definitely could cover up some of the defensive deficiencies. I don't know. I think the Hawks might be giving up a little too much if like the reported deal goes down. We'll see if like John Collins gets rerouted and like they end up maybe like recouping some elsewhere for what they're giving up for Murray, which is very possible. John Collins, it seems like he's gone. So I do like the concept for the Hawks, and I also like it for the Spurs. I think this is a pretty fair trade. I just want to see what the rest of the Hawks offseason would look like before I like crown the Hawks reek of like giving up a lot for Murray and then being like look out for Atlanta, they're coming. Like we're like like all the talk show hosts being like, here come the Hawks. Like, can this team beat the Bucks in a 7-game series? Like stuff like that. So it feels like this move, it's a really good move and pushes the Hawks closer to the top. I don't know if it like really separates them as like a title contender. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You'd have to move their odds, but I would still put them behind the Bucks, the Celtics, the Nets, the Sixers, and the Heat.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The gap shrinks, but I still put them behind all those teams.
I think the thing for me is you mentioned it is kind of I don't know how he fits without the ball in his hand alongside Trae Young because he isn't a spot up guy. So now like you could run Trae Young off the ball a little bit more like the Warriors do with Steph when they have Poole in the game at times. But at the same time, like Trae Young is not Steph Curry. Like they're two very different players. Trae is also amazing with the ball in his hand. He led the league in points and assists last year. So you don't want to take the ball out of his hands, but if you want Murray to be successful, you also kind of have to do that. So I think that's a tough spot. The thing I don't understand for the Spurs is you have Dejounte Murray for 2 years cheap right now. And like Wembanyama is like supposed to be this generational prospect, and I would not be surprised if he is. There's so many people who are plugged in with the scouting in the NBA who are like, this is the best prospect I've ever seen. You aren't guaranteeing yourself the number one pick by trading by trading Dejounte Murray. So that's the part that kind of concerns me. If I was going to pick one team that I think should be in on Dejounte Murray, it's the Boston Celtics. And the reason why they have their traded player exception that they could absorb Murray into. So technically they wouldn't even have to give anybody up. And it seems like the Spurs just want picks. So in an ideal world, if I'm Boston, like they talked about the Drew Holiday deal as like being the precedent, like I would do 2 picks and 2 pick swaps all day, any day for Dejounte Murray if I'm Boston. Because I think he obviously fits perfectly with their defense. I think he's a better player than Marcus Smart, like far and away better player than Marcus Smart. You can move Marcus Smart to
He's like
bench.
a better Marcus Smart, honestly.
Yeah.
Less dog in him, though.
Yeah. I think Dejounte Murray's got the dog in him. He got that team to the play-in, and that roster is not great. So, but I would like the fit there for him. I think he would get a lot of easy shots for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Like he's a much better playmaker than Marcus Smart is. And I really don't think defensively you would see much of a drop off. And then you also could play the two of them together when you really try and get defensive. So couple picks, maybe send a Neesmith or a Pritchard, one of the young guys back, maybe Grant Williams. Like there's something you could do there if you're Boston, where it makes sense with the TPE to use it because they lose it after this offseason. And it also just makes sense from a perspective of we're trying to contend every year. Brad Stevens has already traded the last 2 first-round picks he had. So why not just keep doing it if you have, a team you think is a title contender?
Yeah, this is a young team, and I agree. The Murray, that might push them over the edge. I agree. I completely agree. But I want to get some reactions. I don't think you've seen this yet, so we're going to get a live reaction here.
Boy.
Mark Stein, who is incredibly plugged in Dallas, that's kind of his native team. He goes, wrote Friday that the Knicks had amassed, quote, major momentum in the pursuit of Jalen Brunson after draft night. There's a growing resignation in Dallas, sources say, that the Knicks are indeed Brunson's top choice and his inevitable destination. That comes on the heels of a report today from Mike Scotto, who said the Knicks are looking to trade Nerlens Noel possibly to the Clippers, which would open up, I believe, even more cap space to give Brunson $100+ million. I'm forgetting the actual number, but in that range. Peter, I turn to you. Jalen Brunson? Should I order the jersey now, or should I wait until the papers are signed? What size jersey are you? What size are you? A large?
Probably a medium guy. But dude, oh man, this is. I mean, it's inevitable. This is what it's going to be. I would like if they traded Noel because I think it makes it more like the reason they're trying to move off these guys is so they don't have to renounce Mitchell Robinson's cap hold. And I really want Mitchell Robinson back on the team next year. So whether it's Burks or Noel, whoever they can move, it makes it easier for them to bring back Mitch. But I got the sign behind me, dude. Like all this for Jalen Brunson, like really.
This works out great too because 13 isn't retired yet. Number 13 isn't retired yet, so you don't have to.
Isn't that Fournier's number? He's gonna steal Fournier's number. That's what I'm.
Oh,
yeah, they're gonna have to.
I was gonna say no. I was looking at retired jerseys, but yeah, maybe that'll be part of the recruitment pitch. Evan Fournier will give up his jersey number, or he'll just be on another team also.
Listen, I'd rather him be on another team than giving up the jersey number. But yeah, I mean, sure. At this point, the Knicks. It's like I said the other day. Like the Knicks have put all their eggs into this basket, so now they have to. Like if they missed on Jalen Brunson, and I saw this because this is how we all think as Knicks fans. Like this is just the way this works out. No matter what the Knicks do, people are going to clown them for it. So like if the Knicks sign Jalen Brunson, it's good. The whole thing is going to be, oh my God, look at the Knicks. They overpaid for Jalen Brunson. Haha, idiots. And if they don't get Jalen Brunson, it's going to be like, oh my God, the Knicks spent their entire offseason going after Jalen Brunson. He went back to the Mavericks. Well, it's a lose situation. Like there's nothing that's going to work. Yeah.
Serious question, because it is funny to laugh at Knicks fans' pain, but this is a genuine question. So the Knicks are clearing cap space. It's very clear they're going to have the max space. Let's say you don't get Jalen Brunson. Like let's say you do strike out on Jalen Brunson, and while that would be kind of funny that you did all this to fail, there has to be a backup plan, or do you think they kind of just know that we're getting Jalen Brunson? This is kind of all like the tampering stuff. Like let's say they don't get Jalen Brunson. Let's say Dallas decides that they're going to keep him, where they pay whatever is necessary to keep him. What is the next step for the Knicks? How do they salvage this cap space? Do they do like a bunch of 1 or 2 year deals like they did last year?
I think it's a Malcolm Brogdon trade, to be honest with you. I think that's kind of been that's been reported as part of their, as a contingency plan for them. Obviously, they have all these picks now. They could give up one of those 2023 picks for Malcolm Brogdon. They didn't want to give up 11 for him, so maybe they'd be more inclined to give up one of these protected ones. I would love for them to go after the guy we just talked about, Dejounte Murray. I don't think that's going to happen. They haven't been linked to him at all. So I don't see why they would just randomly be in on him. But at this point, it's kind of like, I said this to you before the show, I'm serious about it. I don't want Jalen Brunson at this price. He's a fine player. I really, really like his game. I've loved him since he came out of Villanova. The price is the thing that is killing me. But if he signs a contract with the Knicks, I'll be fan number one in the Jalen Brunson fan club.
Of course.
So it's just frustrating after seeing some of the contracts the Knicks have signed over the past few years. Like example A, last year, the Fournier contract. Again, Evan Fournier, fine player. He's not an 18 million. He's not an 18 million.
You don't need to defend. Brunson, you could defend. Fournier, you don't need to defend.
Fournier, in the right situation, fine player. Not for 18 million a year. Brunson, I think, is a very good player. Not for 24, 25 million a year. So we'll see what happens, but it's been trending towards this. Ever since they hired Rick Brunson as an assistant, I kind of was like, This is definitely going to happen. And now that they've cleared the space, basically, it's going to happen. I just got to prepare myself for 601 on Thursday, Jalen Brunson, 4 years, 15 to the Knicks.
It also kind of sucks for like Brunson's perspective if he doesn't live up to the contract and he ends up just being good, not great. Maybe with more reps, he's averaging like 20 and 7. Few clutch buckets here and there, but like Knicks are kind of middling play-in team, all that. Like he's just not like the fans won't appreciate a good player. You know what I mean? Like just because the expectations are so high, he's stepping in again. We have both agreed over the past 2 shows that we think Jalen Brunson is a good player. And I think another time we'll have to talk about what Dallas does next, because I've been saying since the second round, I think Dallas are better suited letting him walk. I think that this is a blessing in disguise for the Mavericks that they don't need to get tied up to a Luka Brunson max contract slots, because I don't think that team gets over the hump. Like it's like when Tobias Harris was a free agent. I remember the Nets before Durant and Kyrie really came into focus. Like Tobias Harris was like kind of our guy, and it was going to be D'Angelo Russell and Tobias Harris. And I was sitting there, I'm like, Tobias Harris is good and he's going to get this money, but like he's probably not worth it. He's never going to live up to that contract. And look what's happening. I actually think Tobias Harris is a pretty good player. He's just not living up to his contract of $30 million or whatever. So Jalen Brunson is this year's Tobias Harris. He's a market max player that's probably not going to live up to the expectation of his contract. So the Knicks seem like they're going to be the ones left holding the bag based on this Mark Stein report. And again, Mark Stein, to me, when he talks Mavericks specifically, he is plugged in as anyone. So he knows more than anyone. So to me, I think, like you said, it's been trending in that direction. And I think Jalen Brunson season, baby. Yeah.
I mean,
Jalen Brunson to the Garden.
Knicks fans will love anybody who helps them get, if we can get back to the playoffs. Like, we just want to see, like, I always
Brunson, say Randall, pick and roll.
A lot of lefties too. RJ Barrett too there. I just like as a Knicks lifer, like you're a 99th percentile Nets fan. I'm probably a 99th percentile Knicks fan. Like we're just like, we just want to see good basketball. Like people were storming the streets when we were 500 at the All-Star break 2 years ago, man. Like this isn't like, as much as everybody wants to win a title, like, can we just get a competent basketball team out there? Like Jalen Brunson will make the Knicks a competent basketball team. I will take that. Like it's going to suck at the price. I'm going to, like, in 3 years, we're going to have this conversation and be like, I can't believe we have Jalen Brunson under contract for $27 million next year. But at the same time, they will be better next year if Jalen Brunson is on the team. So I'm going to have to order my jersey. Jalen Brunson fan club. Here we go.
Are you going to get a jersey?
I don't know. I have RJ and Quickly right now as my
you don't need to get a Brunson jersey. You don't need to force that. I know he'll be the highest paid player on the team or whatever, but like, I think you stick with RJ. He's like yours and stuff. RJ's like it's like an earn your pinstripes type thing, like earn your Dewey jersey purchase.
Yeah. 100%. RJ's my guy. I got Quick because I'm a Kentucky guy too. But I'm okay. My other thing for art, like my biggest thing this offseason in the Knicks is they better not mess around with RJ because he's extension eligible. They need to give that man what he deserves. Make sure he's a Knick for life, honestly, at this point. Like, we can't afford to lose RJ Barrett. So
for life until he hits unrestricted free agency.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we can have RJ Barrett in New York, please. Okay. I will sign up for anything. So that day 2 free agency.
Check the pulse tomorrow.
Yeah, the people seem to be liking this. So if you've been liking this content, liking our best bets, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video below. Reed and I are going to be talking about as much NBA free agency as possible, whether it's here on Twitter, maybe some Twitter spaces. And obviously, Donovan, Ben, Reed, they'll be talking NBA as well when they're on Daily Betslip over the next couple weeks. So make sure you guys tune into that. Now we got our game of the night.
Completely different.
Back to some baseball. Back to some baseball here. We got your Mets against the Astros. First off, how are you feeling for this game? Because this is the Mets were off yesterday, right? So this is game 1 of the series. All right. So how are you feeling?
2 games set, and tomorrow tonight I think is kind of the must win. I'd like a split here. I just want to pull up the schedule because I think I saw they did a pitching change for tomorrow. But yeah, 2 games set with the Astros. We got swept last week. Would like to split. I'm not going to ask for more than a split, but tonight seems like the more likely outcome because we do face Verlander tomorrow. As I scroll, Taijuan Walker's pitching tomorrow. He's been much better than a bullpen game. So, again, though, it's against Verlander. So tonight, kind of a big one. Framber Valdez, Carlos Carrasco. Carrasco got tagged last time out in Houston. Let up 4 runs in the first inning. Only pitched 2 1/3. So not a great performance from Carrasco at all. But should I just segue into my bet for this game? Okay, cool. So Carrasco has actually been significantly better at home this season. His ERA is over 6 on the road. It's 3 at home. I think we're going to see a much better Carlos Carrasco from last week against this Astros team. My best bet is on the under 8. I'm going to a game and betting an under. How miserable am I? But that's my best bet. I don't want to get too wrapped up in like the Mets winning this game because Houston's a very good baseball team. Obviously after that Yankee series didn't really go their way to end. They might, come out a little motivated, but should be a really good game. I'm pumped to be there. It's beautiful in New York as I look out my window. So it should be a great game. I'm expecting Carrasco to shove. And on the other side, Framber Valdez, a really, really good pitcher. ERA sub 3. The Mets are just average against lefties, and these are 2 fantastic bullpens. Mets are 12th, but they do have Edwin Diaz, Seth Lugo. But the Astros, number 1 bullpen in baseball. So I think we're looking at a rock fight here. Pitcher ballpark, so under my best bet, go Mets. Emotional bet on the Mets.
This is real tough, dude. We're really messing with the gambling gods today because I am also on the under under 8 in this game. Reed, you laid it out perfectly, dude. Like Carrasco, much different pitcher at home, 5-0 with a 3.0 ERA, 6.1 on the road. And Valdez looked real good against the Yankees the other day. So I like the pitching matchup to me, like these are 2 teams that are good offenses. But I've noticed with the Astros this year, like their offensive numbers aren't as great as like you'd expect. They hit a lot of home runs, but if you're facing Carrasco, who's pitched a lot better at home, if they're not going to hit, a bunch of if they're just going to hit a bunch of solo home runs, like if that's all it's going to be, I think there's a path to this game going under. I also think this is a kind of a tough stretch for the Astros. They play the Yankees, then they play the Mets, and they go back. They play the Yankees on Thursday. So one of these games, they're going to have a clunker. They didn't really have a clunker against the Yankees in that series, so I wouldn't be surprised if it comes today or tomorrow. So that's another reason why that's another reason why I'm on the under. I would love if they waited till Thursday, but I don't see that. I don't see that happening. They get up for Yankees games too much. So yeah, this is a tough one, dude. We're on the same side of 3 different baseball games tonight, so surely nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, no, I what's more likely, 3-0 or 0-3?
0-3, 100%. 0-3, 100%. Just off of last night, because I was so confident with that Red Sox pick yesterday, and it was like you said, it was dead like 3 innings.
Yeah, it was dead on arrival. You just knew like after like 2 batters, like, that's not gonna work.
It's not getting it done for us tonight.
But yeah, no, we'll see. We'll turn it around tonight, especially with the Mets. Hopefully they come out. Pumped to go to the game though. It's really nice out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is a beautiful day. Unfortunately, though, our community, Reed, they're not messing with your Mets tonight. They're taking the Astros -115 as favorites on the road. I don't know if I agree with the community here, but as the rules of the show are, we got to bet with the community. So I will be doing that. I don't know if I don't know if we have to extend this to you though, because you said emotional bet on the Mets, right? I don't know.
Don't check the account. It's fine. I'll bet with the community. Don't check the account. It's fine. It's all emotional.
I don't mind it. We'll see what happens. Maybe if the community is right, the next time we do the show and we're aligning on too many sides, we just got to ask the chat. What do you guys?
Yeah. What's the bet? What's the bet for tonight? We'll see. This is a big test here.
Yeah, this is a big one. So that is our show. It's a fun one today. Love when we get the NBA free agency stuff going, some fun baseball talk. Like I said, if you guys like what you've seen, like what you heard, hit that like button, subscribe down below. We got another Daily Bet Slip coming back tomorrow for you guys. It's going to be Ian and Donovan. So Ian is back from vacation. He's been on a long sabbatical. I think he went to Canada. Yeah. So he'll be back ready to go. You guys can give him hell in the chat. With his picks for tomorrow. So that being said, Reed, appreciate you joining me, my man. And may everybody's bets hit tonight in the MLB, WNBA, tennis, whatever you got going. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.